Hey friends, welcome to my first build showcase in Path of Exile 2. It is a Deadeye that uses frozen lands and Twister, and because there is nothing funnier than a dead meme, I've codenamed it Chill Guy. A very ethical build relying on combos and careful positioning for maximum damage. It has a little bit of everything from decent clear with satisfying shatters to eye-blinding boss DPS. I believe this is the type of build GGG intended for PoE 2, so you get to experience their vision. A disclaimer about the build. It is still a work in progress, as I just entered red tier waystones myself, so don't take anything I say as the most efficient or optimal choice to make. It's what's worked for me so far, especially after a somewhat weak campaign. I'm not the best PoE2 builder, and I'm not constantly looking through data mines or PoE content for the next most broken thing. I just like to play the game. I've played PoE1 for probably a decade now, but I also like the new pace of PoE2. I've in the mindset of being kind of an anti-min-maxer, if that makes sense. But that's just personal preference. I often opt to play in a budget-friendly way or soft solo self-found way, since that appeals most to my gamer sensibilities. And coming from PoE1, where I partake in that first week rush to a mage blood or whatever, that got old sometimes and a little boring. So yeah, sometimes you can't beat the market, or there's not enough time to play that first week, and inflation can be cruel there. If this inspires you to play the build, take it as a medium-term goal or stepping stone to help you get through early/mid mapping with plenty of upgrades to be made. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the showcase. What has the build done for me so far? I transitioned after Axe and began mapping with it. I had low sockets, low gear power, but it was pretty easily taking me up the tiers to about yellow waystones. I had to keep upgrading some pieces as I went, ultimately culminating in a total spending of about 30x, most of it stemming from constantly wanting a better weapon or more socket slots, since I started with a bow build which ate my early jeweler slots. Even with low investment though, it still felt better than that. It's been pretty decent for breaches, especially the moment they open up when you get kind of swarmed by monsters. A bit weaker with expedition because monsters stagger out, but that can easily be solved with the Atlas passive tree. And what it's been really good against is rituals, essence, and boss monsters, because those encounters allow you to quote unquote preload your damage or set it up, then just release it when the monster's able to be hit. And that gets a lot of damage out on the table. Okay, so here's my current gear on the character. I got a spear with decent damage, physical, cold, crit, and base attack speed. What you really want here is probably just as high crit chance as you can get with as much DPS as you can get. The rest of my gear, honestly, is just defense. This I bought for a couple X, life, res, some rarity in here. Gloves, these I found, I'm pretty sure, early on, or not early on, just in acts still. So some damage, life, reses. And that 7 life on kill is actually pretty good. Boots, these were a crazy good find for me. I did drop them and identified them. It was great. Your generic stats, move speed, life, reses, if you can fit in mana, rarity, whatever else you want to play with. This I did buy. Same thing, couple of X. Most pieces were either 10x or below. Though really it was just the spear that was 10x. This I found, and this I found, which is another great ring. Was pretty lucky with this one. Good life, good reses, damage, and I can still exalt it, I think, so that's cool. But the belt, this one I think must like 7x. I really just looked up life, lightning, and chaos res. Though I think I had increased charms gained on that. I'm not too sure. It's been a little bit. This ring I found it's level 35. As you can see, I don't really care about upgrading all that much. This has done a pretty good job. It gives me int, which I need, and I don't want to replace it yet. That's just me though. Basic life, mana flask, stun charm is the only thing I use right now because I think it's the only thing that really sucks in mapping. It's just getting stun after stun after stun. This doesn't last that much, but it helps. So time to talk about gems. So I'll talk about parry later, but for now we can talk about the main engine to the build, which is frenzy generation. Combat frenzy gives us a charge every time we freeze an enemy, since we're focusing on cold damage through glacial lance. Frenzy charges empower our abilities. For example, glacial lance normally does that. With a frenzy charge, those shards explode, dealing a good amount of damage. It also empowers barrage, allowing us to repeat our abilities. Each frenzy consumed is another repeat. So that can get crazy with glacial lance or twisters later on. Our main defensive aura is Wind Dancer, which just helps us get more evasion. I have linked blind and precision to that. Combat frenzy has profusion and warm blooded. Herald of Ice is our main clear support, which is linked to long shot, magnified effect, and charm bounty. Glacial lance is linked to cold infusion, martial tempo, and primal armament. This is our main clear ability. Sniper's Mark is our, I was going to say curse, but that's from PoE 1. So Sniper's Mark is our other way of generating frenzies. There's a little more guaranteed when we can't freeze the monster because the map has increased element threshold or they have more life kind of thing. This will almost secure we get a frenzy charge. So with this, you mark an enemy and then it empowers the next crit you land on them. But the most important thing is if you crit them, it grants you a frenzy charge by removing the mark. So it's great. I have this with Inspiration and Arcane Tempo just for faster casting. Though there you could probably use Ingenuity, which reduces the cooldown, I believe. Or no, gives you 2 charges in exchange for cooldown. I don't even have one. Or I may have it somewhere else. Anyway, from there we have Barrage, which is our main empowering ability. That's linked to Perpetual Charge, Twofold, and Premeditation. Then for our single target combo, we have Whirling Slash, linked to Cadence, Cold Exposure, Frostbolt with Pinpoint Critical, Inevitable Critical. This you don't need. I just have these to synergize with Sniper's Mark if I'm desperate for a frenzy charge. And then finally, to cap off the combo, we have Twister, linked to Acceleration, Persistence, and Salvo. So my main rotation, once I'm fighting a boss or a strong monster, or I want to clear a couple of rooms fairly fast or easy or risk free, is you have your frenzies. So let's assume we have some frenzies. You stack up your whirling slash. Then you hit barrage. You empower your whirling slash, and then you can use whatever ability. In our case, it'll be Twister. So it's like this, barrage, frost orb, and then Twister. Boom, releases a bunch of them. That's without any extra frenzies. It gets crazy once you add frenzy charges, which I'm sure you saw in the intro of the video. That's our main single target DPS. And the smaller the arena is, the more damage you do. So be on the lookout for that. But in that same breath, is the larger an arena is, or maybe even it's not an arena at all, it's just smack dab in the middle of the map or something, and there's a lot of open space, your damage falls off. But you know, twisters go everywhere. Salvo makes them go everywhere even more. You can't target them at all. Sometimes you release a bunch of twisters and none of them go to the boss initially, but because they're moving fast enough, they will come back and hit them eventually. All that is, hopefully it's a loop that freezes things, gives you more frenzy charges, and you can continue running. But yeah, that's the gems. So some extra notes for the big damage combo. Sometimes you mispress a key, or you might get pushed or light stunned or heavy stunned. Usually light stunned though. And like that animation from barrage doesn't go through, or this animation from twister doesn't go through. You know, that feels bad, but there's no extra counter to light stuns at the moment. I probably just have to stack more of these. Maybe get stun threshold somewhere else. I have not solved that yet. Don't be discouraged if in a boss fight you throw out your big damage combo with max frenzies and the boss just takes a little bit longer to summon. You might miss out on a bunch of damage, but it's whatever. Just mark them and keep trying to crit them, and hopefully you land your max charges. But even at low charges, the twister combo is really powerful. That sometimes you want to do it just with a couple of frenzies while you mark the enemy to hope and get more frenzies. And finally, to talk about the passive tree. So I think most importantly, we can talk about our ascendancy. I started with gathering winds. I think that's just generally what you take on Deadeye. It feels good. You attack pretty fast even early on. And it just feels good in this game. Oh, it gives you evasion too, so that's great. From there, I think I went point blank at first. But once I realized that I wanted to start stacking frenzy charges, the only way to go is avidity. This gives you 30% chance that if you gain one frenzy charge, you would instead gain your maximum, which for us is 6 at the moment. This feels amazing when it happens, and this pairs well with this as well, which just gives you an extra 5%, but this grants us one maximum frenzy charge. And then the real meat and potatoes of the build is Thrilling Chase, which just got buffed this patch. This allows you to double up on anything that consumes frenzy charges. Maybe not Glacial Lance because it only consumes once. You can't further empower that. However, things like Barrage, which say ready a volley of arrows, so they're spears, empowering your next bow or projectile spear attack to repeat multiple times. Consumes your frenzy charges on use to add additional repeats. Which here it says empower attacks repeat 2 times, plus an additional time per frenzy charge consumed. So out of 6, that's 8 repeats, plus Twister with more projectiles, plus Twisters that get more projectiles because you did them in a whirlwind. It gets crazy. So yeah, that's really the core of our build here. Once I get my 4th ascendancy, I'm gonna probably go Windward just for more defense. But this last choice, it's probably up to you. You can go Eagle Eyes for less well, actually, no accuracy penalty at distance, meaning you wouldn't need that much accuracy to make it feel good. These aren't very good because even though the projectiles are great here, they go everywhere. They can be near you, far from you. And in Lance, it's not really the projectile that's we're focusing on. It's the explosions with the frenzy charge. I'm not sure where you could use another mark in this build, honestly. Maybe Frozen Mark, but I don't think it's necessary. So really the only options are probably Eagle Eyes and Windward. Archery's pretty generic. You'll be able to see this through the link or the POB provided. Primary thing is Frenzy. This Frenzy I'm probably just going to Anoint. And from there I really just focus on crit crit everywhere. I have this for more dexterity, kind of temporary solutions. Quick explanation on why I use parry sometimes. So parry is a great mechanic on paper, right? When you parry an enemy, you stagger them, and then you apply a debuff, which makes them take 50% more attack damage for 2 seconds? Yeah, 2 seconds. It's a lot of damage, right? But usually if you're parrying and they hit you, you don't have an immediate reaction window. It's still a good amount of damage. The way I quote unquote abuse it, or I take advantage of it, is I do have weapon set points. My main one, my weapon one, is just my damage, which is spears, crit, some elemental damage here. However, for my weapon set 2, I have parry, debuff duration, parry, debuff magnitude, stun threshold while parrying, block chance, more stun threshold while parrying, and then I have this bit here too, block chance, parry damage, block chance, and then parry debuff duration. That's really what I went for, and that's really all you need. So if you want to use your second weapon set points for anything, use it on parry debuff duration. It gives you decent amount of time to damage the boss after you land a parry. And the reason why I have it on a weapon swap is you can't weapon swap to the same weapon set you have, I'm pretty sure. So normally I just carry my buckler, which gives me chaos rest and life, basically, some evasion. But when I do parry, I swap to my weapon, to my second weapon set, which is Silver Thorn, spiked buckler. Pretty bad buckler. All things considered, actually 15% res is not bad, so that's good. The main thing for this, though, and why I have it on a second weapon set, is if you parry with this, you apply 10 stacks of critical weakness, which is huge. That's a lot of crit chance on the enemy. So if you're ever able to land a parry in right before you land your combo, so let's say right here I parry the boss, they get staggered, and I do this with all my frenzy charges, they will take so much damage, and it's super satisfying. You will quickly land your heavy stun, your freeze, your whatever. Quick leveling. So yeah, that's the explanation on parry. Side note, I leveled with Lightning Arrow and Lightning Rod as the Ranger. And even though I didn't feel overly weak, I also didn't feel that strong. I kept getting overwhelmed pretty easily. And there's just probably better ways to level at the moment. So plenty of tech out there, I'm pretty sure, with rake and spears and stomping ground, something like that. So for leveling the build, getting it to maps, there's probably a better way, especially because you rely on frenzies so much, so that gets difficult in acts. You don't have access to combat frenzy, though I know now spears have a call the weak gem, which gives you a frenzy when you call an enemy. Whatever, there's still probably better ways to level the build. I don't suggest you start with this. So that about wraps it up for this build showcase. I'll continue to update it as I'm able to play more and hopefully have an updated video soon. My hopes is to comfortably map in red tier waystones, tier 15, tier 16, stuff like that. And hopefully I'll try to hit some citadels and endgame encounters. If you have any questions or suggestions, please comment away. I'll try my best to answer them. And to anyone that watched any part of the video, thank you for your time and good luck on your PoE journey. Take care of yourself. Bye.